Hi there. This interview is a part of SASAH's outreach initiative where we reach out to our alumni to kind of gain their experiences on what it means to be a SASAH alumni and how the very new and different program that is SASAH has shaped and has functioned in their life as a post-undergraduate. And today I am joined with Jasia Carroll-Woolery. She is from the graduating class of 2019, and she's currently pursuing a Bachelor of Education with a specialization in French immersion at UBC in Vancouver. Hi, Jasia, how are you?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing great. How about you?
I am good. I've done a couple of these interviews already, and with each interview, I think I earned something that I didn't earn before. And it's just been an amazing process of just compounding experiences that I think really flesh out the kind of myriad of benefits that SASAH can grant students. So, this is really exciting to say the least.
Well, hopefully I can provide something new to you and something new for the applicants as well.
And I'm sure you will, because you're kind of pursuing a field or a career in academia. And that's kind of something that I've never seen before. So I'm very excited, and I'm sure everyone watching is also really excited to kind of see how you kind of molded that into your very specific and like unique to you career path so far. So yeah. So I guess I'll just jump right into it in that case. Kind of starting off with the very broad and kind of challenging question that I've asked everyone. We all know that SASAH is a very new program, but there are a lot of questions that arise because of that. People are kind of like, what am I doing? Does this make sense? Like, what even is this? What can I compare it to? But seeing as you've graduated SASAH, I'm sure you have a lot more kind of experience with it than we do. So with that being said, in your own words, I guess, how would you describe SASAH?
SASAH is such a holistic experience. It doesn't feel like a separate major as it's categorized. It really feels like a complete and total form of learning. There's so many different components that work together seamlessly, and while SASAH stands well on its own, I really love how SASAH interacts with my majors and my specialization. So when I was in the SASAH program, I did an Honours Specialization in French Studies, and I found that rather than clashing, the two often worked quite well together. So I consider SASAH to be both a bridge to other disciplines as well as a very holistic form of learning. So that's how I would describe SASAH.
Yeah, I think that's really, really interesting and cool. And kind of bouncing off of that, you said you did an honor specialization in French. So for those of you who probably don't know watching this, to complete your SASAH program, you have to also take a language requirement. And I know in my first year, a lot of concerns were basically around, is the language requirement that beneficial for a SASAH student, and it's kind of taking up space where they could have done another course, maybe an elective or maybe something that's required for another degree or program. But you, who've kind of is very familiar with languages and kind of the benefits of that, I was wondering if I hear your experience and kind of the importance of a language requirement in this very increasingly globalized society and world, and how you think SASAH, including a language requirement, is beneficial for so many students.
Right. So obviously I'm a bit biased, being that I, took French studies, and I'm also I'm studying to be a French teacher. So I definitely have a great love for languages and learning languages. And I find just learning a language really does open your horizons and opens you to the possibilities of, an international world. And it's not just about learning the basics. It's learning how to conjugate the verb être, or learning how to conjugate avoir. It's really about learning to communicate and understand different perspectives. And one of the best courses I took was a translation course for English to French that highlights the nuances between two languages. It's not just about the spelling or how it sounds. It really comes down to the semantics in the meaning. So I find the languages rather complex and very enjoyable. I can understand why it's not for everyone, but I really do think it's a benefit to take a language, at least in your first year as part of the requirements, or up to second year, I believe.
Yeah, yeah,
Up to
second year.
yeah. And honestly, I would really love it if people continued with a language, even just one little course throughout university, but I understand why where interests lie. I just hope that others can see the joys of taking a language, and Western has a lot of languages to offer, so that definitely really helps. So if French isn't up your alley, try Spanish, try German, try Japanese. There's a lot of great options out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great answer. I think that was really meaningful and amazing, because I think even for me, I'm taking Spanish and I take it kind of outside of the very prerequisite language requirement that SASAH holds. I took it just because I love Spanish, and I definitely agree that in an international world it can have a lot of benefits. So, and as you said, Western also has so many different languages that you can learn, right? It's not a case where we're boxed in to kind of one pathway. I mean, there's so many different things that we can take advantage of. So yeah, I think that was wonderfully said. So now that you've kind of graduated SASAH and you're able to look back at it with, I think, a more increasingly hyper analytical lens that probably you didn't have while you were in the program, I was just wondering, what are your overall thoughts on SASAH now? Looking back, how do you think it's shaped you as a student, and kind of, yeah, what were the benefits of it, do you think?
I mean, I just get nostalgic every time I think back to SASAH. I only graduated, last year. So every time I think back, I think about a lot of great experiences. But I guess in terms of how, looking back on it, I'm really, really glad I chose SASAH. I hadn't actually known about the SASAH program when I first applied to Western University. I only discovered it there on the day of the open house, and that it was only a couple days from the application deadline. And I truly can't imagine I've gone somewhere else. The cohort that I was with was just amazing and supportive. The courses that I took were informative, and my professors were all excellent. Many stand out, from Shelley Nero to Joel Faflak. They were just incredible. I can't imagine myself going through my undergrad without having SASAH by my side.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned Joel, and I love Joel. Joel's incredible. Everyone that I speak to, our mutual thing that we both rave about is always Joel, because I mean, he's an amazing prof, and I think SASAH is really lucky to have him, and we're all lucky that we had him as a teacher. So yeah, no. But anyway, moving on from Joel, I was wondering, really, you're pursuing a kind of career in education and pursuing a career as a teacher too. So I was wondering, how do you think SASAH and the very unique type of learning that SASAH provides has very much prepared you for this new path that you're taking as a teacher?
I did love French studies as I just love the subject of French. The idea was always to use French somehow in education, but I didn't quite know how, because the only way I knew to use it was, okay, I'll become a French teacher and, call it a day, bye. But with SASAH, I was able to see different forms and different ways language could be implemented. So I was lucky enough to work for the Explore program in Prince Edward Island, teaching English to Francophone students outside of the traditional classroom, so learning through activities. So we did things like creative writing workshops, volunteering workshops, and SASAH definitely showed me that there were different ways to go about education and to go about teaching. It's not all in the classroom in a box. And even as I go forward, looking for work as a teacher to start in September, I know to bring these experiences into my own classroom. So avoiding, standard lecture style and having hands-on learning, experiential learning, promoting the idea of national and international exchanges, and having sessions with various Indigenous groups specific to BC, but across Canada as well, and knowing to bring that into my classroom at a younger age. So in a way, I hope that my secondary students will get a little bit of SASAH in the classroom, and that really excites me.
Yeah, no. I think that's absolutely great. And kind of really honing in to those experiences, I want to ask, what do you think are some really core and key skills that you've learned throughout those experiences in SASA that have really, or that you think are really beneficial for you?
Two that come to mind right off the top of my head are creativity and adaptability. So I guess in the form of creativity, one of the most prominent memories I have was in my first year. Oh, got to think back. And I was able to make a presentation about postmodernism while incorporating one of my favorite video games, Super Mario RPG. It worked. I didn't think it worked, but I was allowed to be creative. And as well, I was able to take that risk. I was able to comfortably, in a safe environment and with supportive prof and peers, take that risk, and it paid off. And now going forward, I continue to take risks and try new things. Even on my practicum in February, I tried new things. Sometimes it went awesome. Sometimes it wasn't great, but I knew I could pick myself back up again and continue to take these risks. And that ties into adaptability. So whenever I take these risks and be creative, sometimes they don't go as planned, or sometimes there are some challenges that I face. But, I can actually give an example. For what my grade 8 core French class, we did a Black History Month week, and I wanted to read them the book by Viola Desmond, or not by Viola Desmond, sorry, about Viola Desmond, a children's book. But I found the language to be a bit too complex for the level. So I was able to adapt the lesson and actually change the text of the book and simplify it for the students so that they were able to understand and discuss it. And again, by taking a risk and seeking to be creative, and it really paid off. And I have a feeling that the skills I acquired through SASAH are going to continue to help me out in the classroom, beyond the classroom, wherever I might end up teaching. So that really excites me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely worth being excited for, because when you speak about creativity, I think that's one of the amazing things that SASAH allows. I think it's very special and amazing that in SASAH we're allowed to tackle different assignments and different work pieces from any angle that we choose. And as long as we're, of course, analyzing it and expressing it and talking about it meaningfully, we are given that kind of a leeway to do that in any way that we want. And I think that's the beauty of the program. And so I think creativity is definitely something that is amazing, and that's a huge benefit for SASAH students. Yeah. So kind of speaking about being a SASAH student and things that we gained as being a SASAH student, I was wondering, memories. What do you think your favorite memory as a SASAH student?
Oh, some memories are just so vivid. Like I already mentioned my first year experience. I remember living in residence on Ontario Hall on the SASAH floor and having movie nights and get-togethers and discussing assignments in both our majors and outside of SASAH. In second year, we had a course. The etiquette course. We had a course on eating etiquette. So they rented the room. I forget the building. The building where you find information about international exchanges?
Yes.
Yeah, up on I believe the second or third floor. We had like a catered meal where we learned which fork to use.
Wow.
It was an intense etiquette course, and it was just awesome. It was so much fun to just talk and eat and chill. I still remember we had honeycomb for dessert, but I'm very much attached. Most of my SASAH memories are attached to food. That's just how it is. And I guess fourth year, what really stood out was I don't consider myself much of a visual artist, but we were able to display a visual work inside an art gallery or the art lab, I believe it was. And I was able to create a collage type piece on canvas, and I can send it to you after, but it was so cool to see, like, hey, like I did that, I could do that, I can try new things. I could go on for eons about everything I loved about SASAH, but I think I better stop there before.
No, that's pretty good, and I like that. a lot of your memories are tied to food, because I think mine are as well. I
Right?
vividly remember, because I mean, Ontario has the best food.
Oh, yeah.
We all know clearly, this is common knowledge.
100%.
So our entire SASAH floor would always go down to get dinner or lunch. And yeah, so I mean, looking back at it, food and SASAH are very intertwined.
Yeah, as it should be, as it's meant to be.
As it's meant to be. I think that makes it more memorable.
Yeah.
So kind of my final question for you, I guess, and ending off, would be, now that you've graduated and you have all these experiences and you've gone through the entire SASAH program and you've learned so much, what is, I guess, one piece of advice that you have for students probably that are thinking of joining SASAH or who are even in SASAH right now? What do you think you have to say to them?
There's a lot of things I'd say, but I think the most important thing is to be brave. Be brave to try new things. Be brave to experiment, to both within academia, within your personal life, while you're at Western. Just be brave. Trust yourself. Look for support from friends and family, and your coworkers or your peers. But whatever you do, be brave.
Yeah, well said. Very, very, very well said. Thank you so much for speaking to me today. I really, really value this conversation. I think we got a lot from that. I mean, from talking about your love and passion for languages to SASAH and food, which I keep thinking about it is actually very, very funny and relatable. But yeah, no, this was absolutely amazing. And I just want to thank you for kind of taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I hope our viewers get something of use out of this.
No, they definitely will. I mean, I've already learned so much, so I know that SASAH students will as well. And kind of, if any student is watching this right now and they're like, I need to talk to Jasia, oh my gosh, this is incredible, I need to get more, how can they kind of reach you?
Oh, good question. They can reach me at my UWO email.
Okay.
So I can provide that. Should I say it out loud now or provide it?
Yeah, you can say it out loud and we'll probably put a link too. So
perfect. So you can reach me at JCarro24@uwo.ca.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, I'm sure SASAH students who think you're incredible, which I'm sure they will probably reach out to you to kind of gain more about your experiences. But thanks again for talking to me today. And yeah, I think this is an amazing experience and I love speaking with you. So
thanks for having me. I love speaking with you too. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.